Again, my name's Tom Vance, and I direct the Master of Arts in Teaching program, all of our programs, elementary and secondary programs. And I'm just going to spend 15-20 minutes telling you a little bit about the MAT. It says 30 to 45, but it's not going to be that long. And then we will open it up for questions. I am recording just so we can, upload this and share it with other people who might be interested in the secondary social studies MAT. So first of all, why K-State? Well, I was really the founding kind of faculty member of the MAT program. We had something similar to this at Rockhurst University where I was, and so 6 or 7 years ago, actually for many years, I've sort of been pushing for something like this, where adult career changers could come and get a teaching license and a master's degree and not have to uproot their families and or disrupt their lives for multiple years. And so we created the MAT with the adult career changer in mind. And this slide's a little old. Our cost has actually gone down. It's actually now $15,360, I think, because we don't have fees. We don't add fees on because of COVID. But we scanned the market of people, and we talked to potential students just like you, and we asked them what they really wanted in a program, and we built a program with you in mind. And the first thing was being able to do it fairly quickly. We say that the program's 12 months, it's really 11 months. You start in mid-May, you're done by the first or second week in April, in 11 months later. So it's really an 11-month program. And a lot of people like that about K-State. You can do the same program lots of other places, but you're going to spend usually a minimum of 18 months, more like 2 years in most places to do this. We also talk about cost right up front. Most universities don't. You have to kind of do some calculations to figure out what you're going to spend. And it's $495.50 per credit hour for 31 credit hours. So if you have a calculator, you can do that real quick. But it comes out to 15,360 or 560 or something like that. So about the cost of a nice used car, we like to tell people, and in essence, you're investing in yourself when you invest in changing careers and becoming a teacher. And another thing that people really wanted was convenience, and our program is all online. All of our classes are asynchronous. You don't have to all log in at 7 o'clock or 6:30 or whatever. We do have Q&A sessions where we make ourselves faculty make themselves available live to students, but we don't force you to do that. There are due dates. But how you accomplish those, or when you accomplish those due dates, that's up to you and your schedule. Even though we're a large online program, I think we started with 214 students for this cohort. We're in our 6th year of doing this. We still have a personal touch. We assign each student a grad cat, a mentor teacher that's a grad cat that is with you from the beginning of the program until the end of the program. They grade your papers, they coach you during your teaching, they give you tips. They're a great support system to our students. We cap those out at 5 students per grad cat, or some grad cats take on 10, but most of them just have 5 students. So you get to know that person really well. And so it's a nice mix of a really great faculty member. All of us are, either tenured or tenure track faculty members in our particular areas. We all have expertise. We all, have written extensively in journals, and some of us have written books or encyclopedias or whatever. And so we'd like to think it's a nice blend of the latest thinking and best practices and best research on teaching, learning, students, curriculum, instruction, assessment, and all the rest, with blended with really good practitioners that have multiple years of experience in the schools. So it's a really high quality faculty, and really our program, by the way, is rated number 10 in the United States for online teacher prep programs. And we're rated that way not necessarily because of the faculty, although that's part of it, but also mostly, I think, because we've attracted this really great group of students, like such as yourselves, that we have attorneys and engineers and successful business people, and we have a PhD in physics this year that wants to be an elementary teacher. So you rub elbows with a group of really highly talented people who, like yourselves, many of them are, I think the average age in the program is like 37.4. That's oddly specific. I don't know why I remember that as well as I do, but I do. And so, it's people that have a little more life experience, and basically our program is filled with people that maybe didn't know exactly what they wanted to do when they were 19 years old, and they were forced into making a decision about that in college. And now they've gained a little life experience, and really most of our students go into teaching for all the right reasons. They really want to make a difference in the world. They want to make a difference in the lives of kids. And my dear friends, there's very few professions where you can make as big a difference as in teaching, and in particular, elementary, middle, and high school teaching. I mean, it's one thing to be a university professor, and I enjoy my job and I like it, but in terms of actually having an impact, I'll have, David, you'll have my, Brendan or Emily, you'll have a class with me, at least one class with me through your program. And, you might pick up a tip or two from old Tom, and that might matters. And, but you are kind of who you are anyway, right? You're already, kind of a fully formed adult, thinking, caring, compassionate, smart, capable person who's capable of making some excellent decisions about what to teach, how to teach, and so forth. And we're just sort of, me and the other faculty members are just sort of informing all of the good stuff that you already have, that you've already developed throughout the course of your life. And it's not just us, it's the other students in class challenge you to think about things in new ways, and in better ways, and that kind of thing. So we think we know we've built a really great program that's really focused on the unique needs of adult learners and career changers. And we encourage you to shop around and try to find another school that offers the same sort of combination of time, value, convenience, and quality that that K-State does. So this is the elementary program. And by the way, I mention this because anybody can go the elementary route with any degree, undergraduate degree, and once they're through with their elementary, getting their elementary teaching license, they can test into any other secondary subject. And I think, David, we mentioned that to you in the English language arts one as well, that if you don't know what you're going to do, that's a possibility. That you could be get certified elementary K6 and then test into any secondary subject. But you can't do the opposite. You can't go secondary and test into elementary, but you can go to a secondary subject area, any secondary subject, and then test into another secondary subject area. So you can go social studies and then decide that you wanted to do English language arts or vice versa. So basically, you can see that the courses are laid out so that in the summer, we sort of give you some kind of nuts and bolts of the building of vocabulary as a teacher, providing you with some of the kind of historical and philosophical and ideological foundations of education, right? You're not just getting into a profession that without a history. You're going into a profession that has its own history and philosophy, and and it's nice as a teacher to know a little bit about where I'm a social studies guy, right? I was a social studies teacher. I think knowing something about history provides a context to whatever it is that we're doing now, or a context to just our interpretations of the world around us, not to be too esoteric, but it's true, right? I mean, history provides that sort of context. And so we try to give that to you in this foundations class. You'll also sign up for your master's project, even though it's not due until the very end, but we give it to you right away, right up front, so you can see exactly what's required of you as a culminating product for the MAT program. And basically it's this portfolio, right, that you put together. It's got 12 entries, and each entry has a 500-word essay, plus artifacts, videos or lesson plans or whatever that demonstrate your teaching acumen and competency. All of you take my class, Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. That's just sort of the nuts and bolts of teaching. And again, we develop some vocabulary in there, and we talk about how to write a lesson plan and what Bloom's taxonomy is, and all of those kinds of things. Then in 716, we look at the individual learners and kids that you're going to teach in your classes, and who they are and where they come from, and the fact that they're all unique and different, and they come from different backgrounds, and somehow you have to try to reach all these diverse kids in different ways, and so 716 does that. Then you take your first of 3 colloquia, I guess is the plural. I should be careful with my words and language usage, with David being an English person. I think the plural is colloquia. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it is. And but anyway, and those are good classes because they're kind of a blend of content and pedagogy, right? And so maybe you need to, social studies is this incredibly broad field, right? I mean, uh, it encompasses history, not just US history, but US history and world history and every other kind of history that you can think of. Plus, I mean, so history is probably number one of the social sciences in a social studies degree, and in terms of what social studies teachers teach. Second is probably civics and government, right? So political science kind of courses. Third, and a tie for third would be geography and economics. And then sociology, psychology, anthropology, and any other ology that I'm forgetting about would be that they're all still important, right? I mean, anthropology is cool, right? The study of culture. I mean, of course, that's cool. And even inside geography, right? There's human geography, there's physical geography. I'm teaching to the choir. You guys know all this stuff. The point is that it's just way too immense for any one person to know the content like the back of their hand. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, British literature or English literature. I mean, you just can't have read every book. I mean, it's just not, you hit a limit. And the same is true in social studies. So these colloquia help to bridge any sort of gaps that you might have in your content knowledge. And they're good because, again, you can't, we try to separate out talking about teaching method from content, and that's really, it's really not possible. I mean, they're so interrelated. I mean, if you're gonna, we talk, for example, we talk about using really meaningful examples, right, in all areas of teaching. Well, you can't really select great examples to use with kids if you don't know the content to begin with. You know what I mean? You've got to know something to be able to know how to organize it, make it come to life for the average 16-year-old. It's a challenge. You can say whatever you want to about teaching, but don't say that it's boring. I mean, every day is unique. Every kid is unique. Every class takes on its own personality. And it's sort of, I mean, for me, that's sort of the fun of it. The fun of it is trying to figure out, each class, every student trying to figure out, what's the very best kinds of things that I can do with this particular class or with this particular student to motivate and maximize learning. So what we're really up to is taking what you already know about kids, about content, about schooling, and so forth, and just really sort of refining what you already know, and maybe raising an additional issue or two, so that your ability to perceive and analyze and judge and ultimately act inside the classroom improves. I mean, every little decision matters as a teacher, right? I mean, Emily, at some point, you're going to be teaching in your practicum or in your student teaching, and a student's going to come in and say, Miss Smith, Emily, I don't see your last name right in front of me, but we'll just say that it's Smith. Miss Smith, you wouldn't believe what happened to me last night. And they give you some story, and the punchline is, so will it be okay if I turn my paper in tomorrow? And you've got other kids listening right there in that moment. And you've got to make a decision. Do I tell the student, yeah, sure, turn it in tomorrow? Do I say, no, I'm sorry, it's due today, and that's that? Do I do something different? Do I ask to talk to him after class? You know, what is it that I should do in that particular situation? Well, it's just one small example. You're bombarded with that kind of stuff every day as a teacher. Literally I don't want to overstate it, but certainly dozens. I was going to say hundreds, and it's probably not overstating it. I mean, that's probably not overselling it, because, you know, in addition to all those things like that you have to think about, there's also, and make decisions about, there's also things just going on in the back of your mind, right? As you're teaching, do the students understand? Do I need to do something differently? Should I put something up on the board? Do I need to go back and reteach something? You know, so you're constantly asking and answer. You're having an inner dialogue with yourself as a teacher almost all the time, right? At the end of the day, you're exhausted, not because you're physically drained, but because you're mentally drained. You're on all the time, right? You're except your planning period, and even then, you know, these days, people call in sick. We don't have enough subs, so guess what? You get to, you know, you get to cover for other people in a lot of districts. But what we hope that we do at K-State is we help you to make some of those decisions. We help to guide some of those decisions. We help to bring to the surface some of the variables that you might consider as you make those decisions. But what we are not is simply a follow the script sort of program where we say, you know, this is the one way to teach, and it's the only way to teach. And if you're not doing it this way, then you stink. And because that's just not true. The other thing that I refuse to do, and I think most faculty members in the MAT refuse to do, I refuse to jump on the latest bandwagon, whatever that is in education. What we teach you is tried and true, you know, core basic stuff about teaching, learning, students, curriculum, instruction, assessment, how to ask an interesting question, how to provide outstanding feedback. These things that we've known for really some time now. And we ultimately want you, let 1,000 flowers bloom. I hope that all of you are, you know, different, unique, awesome teachers, that there's not one size that fits all in terms of being a great teacher. You know, I've had great teachers that were kind of, you know, introverted and introspective and thoughtful, like that. And then I've had great teachers that were, you know, more like my personality type, which is a little bit more, I don't know, gregarious, kind of, you know, open book. I probably tell my students too much about myself. I probably get sidetracked a little too easily, you know, those kinds of things. You know, we all have our strengths, we all have our limitations. Even after 30 years, I'm maybe more aware of them after 30 years than I ever was when I first started teaching. Admissions requirements, it's $65. And by the way, if you all pay for it, we'll pay for it. K-State will pay for it. We have money that we put aside. Anybody that attends a webinar, we will pay for your application fee. Just send me an email and I'll shoot you a waiver, or actually have Brittany shoot you a waiver. We like your undergraduate degree to be 3.0 or above. If it's not, if it's a little below that, it's not a huge deal. If it's a lot below that, then, you know, you probably just need to call me and say, hey, this is the deal. And by the way, this is a no judgment zone. I flunked out of school when I was a 18-year-old kid that didn't know what I wanted to do, and it was a great crappie fishing season, ice fishing season, and Anheuser-Busch was making a great product when I was 18 years old. So second semester, I just drank and went fishing and got 16 hours of F. And little did I know that that would get me kicked out of school, but it did. And so I had to really work my way back into the good graces of the University of Nebraska. And here I thought all that what was required was to be a Nebraska citizen and have a heartbeat to get into the University of Nebraska. And that's true. But once you get kicked out, then it's a little more difficult to get back in. So anyway, if you're in that situation, don't feel badly. Lots of people have struggled as an undergraduate. You will need to take the Praxis test for secondary social studies. And I think it's 5081. We can check on that. I think the number is 5081. And in fact, I'll just toggle over there real quick. And since that's kind of important. And the single best thing you can do to study for that Praxis Social Studies test is to buy the ETS created practice tests, and they're like $35. It's not a whole bunch. So here's the official ETS site. This is social studies. It is 5081. Okay, and this is the interactive practice test. And so let's just see how much they are. Okay, so if you did one, it's $19.95. Let's see if you do two. Maybe they've changed it. Let me accept all cookies. I'm 56 years old and I still don't know when I'm accepting cookies, I have no idea what the hell that means exactly, but I just do it anyway. But anyway, so one of them I think is $19.95. Maybe for all three, it's closer to $60. I don't know, but I think there's three different forms. My daughter is a social studies teacher, and oh, see, these are the actual old tests from 2014, 2017, 2018. So there's nothing like taking the real thing. And then there's also this study companion thing, which is good because it kind of tells you what's on the test and the categories: U.S. history, world history, government, geography, economics. Geez, Tom, you nailed the content areas, and that's what's on it. They even give some some outlines here. So anyway, so that's also a part of the test. And there's 3 interview questions. You record your responses to 3 interview questions. They're basic. Don't spend a lot of time on this. It's like, why do you want to be a teacher? What do you think you can add to the lives of students? That kind of thing. And it's not like a trick thing. This isn't, we want you to be, we just want to put a face with a name, and we look at those on, we analyze those with strict scrutiny on close cases, but mostly 45-second responses to those questions are sufficient. And then 3 letters of recommendation. And by letters of recommendation, we just mean you provide us with the names and email addresses of 3 people. You should let them know, hey, I'm applying to K-State, and I'm going to give them, would it be okay if I gave them your name and email? And they're going to send you an email, and you're going to fill out this little rubric on my qualifications. and there's going to either be a place where you can upload a letter, or you can write a little blurb about me, and that's how we do admissions. By the way, there is the student loan forgiveness. They do that for teachers up to $17,500. And both that program and the public service loan forgiveness program have been kind of a nightmare, to be honest, in terms of people getting them. And I don't know if you've heard in the news, but there's new things coming out with regard to the public service loan forgiveness program. In fact, I'm taking advantage of it myself. I'm a public servant, right? I teach at Kansas State University. I'm a public servant where my job is to serve you and the state of Kansas and the United States of America and teachers all over the world. And so they're making these programs better and more easy to access the dollars. And so these are real dollars. To get the teacher loan forgiveness program, you got to teach in a Title I school. But most schools are Title I schools. Let me say that again. A majority of Kansas schools, a majority of schools, period, are Title I schools. And to be a Title I school, you have to have 35% of your student population as free and reduced lunch students. We also have global campus scholarships. A decent percentage of our students are on global campus scholarships, but those are need-based scholarships, and not everyone gets them, just to be honest. But I'd say half of our MAT students that apply for them get them. And of course, the more need that you show on your FAFSA, and you need to apply for both the 21, sorry, the slide's a little old, the 21-22 and 22-23 FAFSAs, because the 21-22 FAFSA would cover you for the summer, and the 22-23 FAFSA would cover you for next academic year. And if you're outside of Kansas, any programs that might be specific to your state. Inside of Kansas, we have the Kansas Teacher Service Scholarships. Everyone gets those. It's not need-based. It's not academic-based. We need teachers in certain areas in Kansas. For social studies, to get these, you have to agree to teach for at least 1 year in Kansas City, Kansas, in Wichita, in Topeka, or the western 1/3 of Kansas. So my daughter was on one of these, and so she teaches in Kansas City, Kansas, and in fact, she's in the other room and loves it. And so that would pay for roughly 1/3 of your MAT. Most of our students continue to work until student teaching at some level. The fall, when you're out in the schools for your practicum, you'll be out there for 64 hours over the course of 10 to 12 weeks. And so you'll have to work it out with your job that, I'm going to take Tuesday and Wednesday mornings off for the next 10 weeks. And, I'll give you Saturdays or whatever the case may be. Many of our students work in the schools, and they do their practicum and student teaching in the same school in which they work. And you get to decide what school you would like to go to. You fill out what's called a STAR form, and you say, this is my first preference, this school and subject areas, my grade levels, my first here's my second preference, here's my third preference. And I'd say 95% of the time we're able to make those work. You will get a Kansas 7 through 12 license at the end of this. The state of Kansas issues those. technically speaking, all universities, all teacher preparation people recommend you to states. States are the people that give you the license. But once you have your Kansas 7 through 12 social studies license, you can transfer that to other states. It's transferable to other states. You might have to do something else, like in Louisiana, you have to take a Louisiana history test within the first couple of years of teach. They still let you teach, and they give you a temporary license until you get it taken care of. But it's much easier once you have a state license in hand to transfer it to other states. You can test into other secondary subject areas. And again, you can teach in other states. One of the great advantages of being a teacher is mobility. You once you have teacher certification, you can, and you're good, you can go anywhere and get a teaching job. And there's also a lot of vertical mobility too. You can become a principal if you want, or a vice principal, or a department chair, or an instructional coach, or a textbook writer, or professor like me, or um, there's all to provide professional development provider. You can work in the district office in some capacity. There's all kinds of things. Become a superintendent. It's a huge industry, multi-billion-dollar industry. So there's lots of things to do. I've talked too long. It's really easy to apply. We'll have another webinar in February. And I think I'll stop there. There is my, if you want to jot down, this is my cell phone number. I give all MAT students my cell phone number, and you can call me anytime. We're empty nesters. Our kids are here for Thanksgiving, but most of the time it's just me and my wife, and most of the time we're not doing anything. I'd like to tell you that we're so busy that I couldn't possibly take a phone call. That's just not true. I'm available most of the time, and even usually the only thing that you'd be interrupting first of all, I work all day. Secondly, in the evening, the only thing you'd be interrupting is whatever we're watching on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever at the time, and we can always take a break from that. Feel free to reach out to me seriously anytime, and you can call or email me, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions about admissions or social studies, or the job. By the way, job market is outstanding for teachers right now. You probably know that, right? I mean, COVID has taken lots of people out of the classroom, and so you're entering teaching at a great time. Demand for teachers is high. Yeah, and yes, even social studies teachers demand is high. And we place it's 90-some% of our MAT students are gainfully employed as teachers, after they finish the program. So people, school districts really go after you guys. Any questions? You can unmute yourself. You can use the chat. You can do whatever you want to ask any questions that you might have. Emily, nice to see you.
Hello, how's it going?
Great. How about you? Where are you at?
I'm in Kansas City.
Fantastic. My daughter, I think I told you, my daughter teaches KCK. Is it Central Middle School? Does that sound right? Central Middle School.
That could be. I
Yeah.
guess I sort of lied. I'm in Overland Park, so I just generalized.
Oh, no, that's cool. No, yeah. I don't call that a lie. Yeah, you're in the general neck. And Overland Park's great too. We place all kinds of people in Shawnee, Blue Valley, all over the place.
Cool. I was wondering, so I was trying to follow along, but the student teaching that we do, when is that in the program?
Sorry, I probably wasn't terribly clear about that, but I do so many of these. You know, there is a point of diminishing returns. It starts the whenever the kids come back from school after holiday break. So, you know, usually it's like January 3rd or 4th or 5th. So student teaching starts. And by the way, Emily, you're in the same classroom that you were for your practicum. So it's not like you're having to learn everyone's names from scratch again, or start a new relationship with your cooperating teacher or anything like that. It's already set because you've been there, you know, for 10 weeks in the fall. But it starts the first week in January and goes until usually the first week in April. There's an extra, it's 12 weeks, but there's an extra week in there because of spring break and some
Mhm.
other things like that. So that's when it is. And so that particular 12-week period, or actually technically it's more like 13, 14 weeks, you know, you couldn't, it's really a full-time job.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. So, and that's crazy. So you get all the stuff done in about 11 months.
That's the crazy part. Yes. Well, here's the deal, Emily. We have there's also programs like Teach for America. I think it's called Teach for America, where, you know, you just have an undergraduate degree and they just throw you into a classroom with very little instruction at all. Those programs have not been terribly successful. People get burned out. They get eaten up by the kids. They don't like it. And then on the other extreme was what we did before we had the MAT, which was like, oh, Emily, you want to be a teacher? Cool. Move to Manhattan, uproot, you know, yourself for like 3 years, and then get another undergraduate degree
Mm-hmm.
after about 3 years, and doing all these undergraduate content classes, and then you too can be a teacher. And people are like, no, that I want to be a teacher, but not that bad.
Right.
And so this is sort of the balance between the two things.
That sounds great. I'm just kind of like, I have two, well, right now I have two small children, babies. And I was just wondering, like, with class time and the amount of studying that we need to do you have any idea like how many hours a week is kind of,
It's such
yeah,
a great question, and it's so individually dependent.
okay. I know, yeah, I know that's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of really busy moms and dads and parents, I should say, of young children that do the program. You know, my wife and I have 4 kids. Trust me, I know the time demands of parenting and so forth. But you know, a lot of it kind of depends upon you know, kind of where your frame of reference is, and how your time management skills are, how well organized you are, how long it takes you to pound out a thoughtful paper, or a discussion post, or a response. You know, you're going to have to respond to people like David Wilson, who are terribly thoughtful, and Brendan Graff, who's really sharp, and so you know you're going to want to try to keep up with your classmates and their ideas and so forth. So, but people do it all the time with kids, and with or with working, and most people are able to juggle it. I mean, at some point, Emily, to be honest with you, and this happens as a teacher too, right? You envision this, you know, perfect semester. You know, I'm gonna do all these things during over the course of this semester, and then the semester happens, and you're just too busy to do everything that you set out to do in the beginning. So you make difficult choices about. You have to prioritize. You have
Yeah.
to, you know, this is most important, and this is what I'm going to work on. And I just can't spend as much time on these two things or whatever. And that's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so the program, you said it starts in May, and what was the application deadline?
Application deadline's April 1st, but you can apply anytime. You can apply right now. We do rolling admissions, so you could apply now, or you could wait. And actually, once April 1st comes, just to be completely transparent, we try to be completely transparent, by the way. A lot of other universities, you have to you have to give them your name before they'll give you information about their programs. We don't play that game. We tell you the cost right up front, all of that stuff. I lost my train of thought. What was I going to see? That was my little bird walking right there. What was your question again?
Well, when the application deadline was, but you said
Oh,
May.
yeah, we try to be transparent. And it's April 1st, but it's not really April 1st, because as soon as April 1st rolls around, we'll say that it's May 1st. And you might say, well, why do you do that, Tom? Well, we do that because it's a crazy little game that I play with the graduate school. The graduate school hates being bombarded with a couple hundred applications right before May graduation. So I try to get as many people as I can to apply by April 1st, so that the graduate school doesn't send me terrible emails and send my dean terrible emails that we're causing them undue, unnecessary heartache and work. So that's, and by the way, they'll likely listen to this recording of this, and I'm just realizing that right now. They're gonna hear. It's a good thing that I have tenure and that I'm a full professor. No, they know that that's the way it is. They wouldn't like me telling you that, but that's they know that that's the little game that we play.
I have one more question. Do you have to take the Praxis for the elementary program as well?
No, you do
No.
not. Yeah, and see, the deal is with we have to tell the state of Kansas basically to get them to sign off on this program. The deal we made was, hey, we'll take Emily, who has proven that she knows enough about content to be a good teacher by passing the Praxis and having an undergraduate degree. We'll take her, give us 11 months with Emily, and we'll get her ready to be a really good teacher. And they said, cool, that we'll do that. But they don't, for the elementary, because it's a broader field, the deal was, give us a person that has an undergraduate degree and a 3.0 GPA. And they likely have the intellectual tickets to be an elementary teacher. Give us a year with them, and we'll get them ready for the rigors of elementary teaching.
Okay, that is nice. All right, thank you.
So either way, it's and really, if you go to USC, and first of all, I'm not dogging USC out. USC is a great school, by the way, and but basically do the same program, and it's 2 years, and it's $55,000, and
Yeah, I've seen a lot of programs that are 2 years.
yeah, and Western Governors has a unique one, but it's a little bit more expensive than ours, and it has this different kind of way of granting credit that some students really like and some students don't. It's not technically on a semester schedule, but I'm just trying to think of some of the, there are competitors inside of Kansas. Most of us are, the source of our funding is the same, right? We're all Kansas Board of Regents institutions. So it's not like we're real competitive with one another. I mean, we cooperate more than but I don't think any of them have the same kind of program that we do. I should also mention too, and I haven't yet, that we have a proposal in front of the Kansas State Department of Education to do a residency program for secondary students, where if you could get a job, say for example at Blue Valley Northwest or whatever, they hired you as a social studies teacher, that you could take our program and in essence be kind of paid on the job training and start accruing benefits as a teacher. And that's we won't know about that until late spring, early summer. And Blue Valley wouldn't want to hire you until then anyway. So, and you'd still have to get in to the program one way or the other.
I have a question. Do you find that because your graduates are new teachers with master's degrees, that there's a competitive disadvantage given the salary scale
No,
as
no,
bachelor's new teachers?
not at all. I mean, you're looking at a couple $1,000s, and there are teachers, David, if you could go out, like go out to Southwest Kansas, and actually you can just kind of look at salary schedules around if you Googled it, and most school districts make that public, right? That a teacher's salary schedule is based upon years of experience on the vertical part of the chart, and then education on the horizontal part of the chart. And so a master's degree normally represents like $2,500 a year or more. And so if you hear screaming in the background, it's my kids playing card games, maybe drinking games. They're all adult children now, so there's a little screaming in the background there. But yeah, no, I don't think it's a disadvantage at all. I mean, there's just such a demand for teachers, and hiring somebody with a little more kind of life experience, just to be completely honest, is less risk for a school district or a principal than hiring someone that with less experience. So I don't think it's a disadvantage in the slide. It's certainly not a disadvantage, absolutely not a disadvantage in any of the medium to larger districts. Maybe in some super small school districts, but even there, they're so desperate for teachers that the salary schedule in Liberal can't go look at it. It's better than Blue Valley, because they want to encourage people to go there. It's crazy.
Also, I have looked but haven't successfully found the geographic description other than you said Western Third.
Yeah, it's Region 5. So let me I'll share again here. I don't know why it wouldn't let me do that, but let's just go to it quickly. Hang on here. If you just typed in and my kids make fun of me. I use Yahoo. They think that that's just hilarious that I use Yahoo and not Google. But if you just type in Kansas State Board of Education district map. There we go. Now let me see if I can't share my screen again. Can you see it? It's a weird, let's see if we can't find a better picture of it. So here's Region 5, so it's all these counties. Let's see if we can't find a more. I guess it's just going to be a crappy image, but you can see it's a pretty good swath of Kansas. Board of Education. Let's just go Region 5. See what that comes up with. Oh, here's a better map. There we go. And you probably, David, have a better understanding of what towns and stuff are located in Region 5.
Yeah, okay, that's helpful.
Any other questions? Brendan, do you have any questions? Okay, now I'm just scanning my images here on your time. That's not good. I'll stop share. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I will let you get back to your evening. An hour, that's not bad, an hour. We did that, we named that tune in an hour. That's not bad. And really great to see you again, David. Nice meeting you, Emily. Nice meeting you, Brendan. And if I can be any help at all, I'm telling you, teaching at every level is intellectually challenging, stimulating, rewarding, fulfilling. Again, I'm 56 years old. Most of my friends are burned out in whatever field that they chose to do. They're tired of being attorneys or whatever. And I'm not. I'm just not. I just still, the first day of school still gives me butterflies, and meeting students for the first time is still a big deal. And getting an email message from a former student saying hi still warms my heart. And so even if you don't choose K-State, I hope all of you choose teaching, because we really need good people in teaching. So I hope you do choose K-State, and you'd be wise to choose K-State. You'd be foolish to choose any place else, but I hope to see all of your applications and to hear from you again soon. Have a great rest of the evening.